Today's lesson, we're going to look at probability. We define probability as the number of successful outcomes over the total number of possible outcomes. Now, when we're figuring this out as we go here the next couple of days, keep in mind the things we talked about so far, like the fundamental counting principle, permutations that we've looked at, and also along with that, combinations. And those things will help us figure out some of these outcomes that we're going to be looking for. When we talk about probability, probability can always, or is always going to occur between 0 and 1 inclusive. By 0 and 1, when we talk about that, that's in whole number terms. If you were thinking in terms of percentages, that would be between 0% and 1 as a percent would be 100%. So as we go here, just kind of keep in mind, sometimes you're going to view percentages as fractions. You may also see them listed as numbers or decimals. And you may also see them, of course, as percents. So we can switch in between either three of these and list our answer in terms of those different ways of writing numbers. All right, the closer the probability of event is to 1, the more likely the event is to occur. So the higher or closer to 1, your event's going to happen more often. When it's closer to 0, the opposite's true. It's going to be less likely the event is to occur. Okay, let's actually try some problems out here, look at some simple probability problems. Number 1 says a bag contains 4 blue marbles, 3 green marbles, and 6 red marbles. What they want us to figure out in A is, suppose you reach into the bag and draw 1 marble, find the probability that 1 marble was green. So our probability that the marble was green is going to be the number of successes. Well, here our success would be drawing a green marble, which we have 3, over the total number. To find the total, we're going to have to figure out how many total marbles are in this bag, and doing some adding up, we can see it's 13. So we have a 3 out of 13 chance. Now, if you want to change that to a percentage, if that's what they're looking for in the answer, 3 over 13 is certainly an acceptable answer. But we can divide these out to figure out what it would be as a decimal. So it's going to be about 0.23. And as a percentage then, multiplying that by 100 or moving the decimal over twice, that'd be about 23% chance. So any of these answers are acceptable depending on what the question's asking for. All right, let's look at B. Suppose you reach into the bag again and draw 1 marble. Find the probability that the marble was not red. Okay, so now we're trying to find the probability that it's not red. In this case, since the marble bag hasn't changed, the total is still going to be 13. What we want to figure out is what is not red. In this case, since there's 3 different colors of marbles, another way of saying not red would be to find out how many blue and green ones there are. So if we add up the number of blue and green, we see that there are 7 out of 13, which again you can change to a percentage or decimal. That would come out to be about 0.538 or about 53.8%. So when you're doing probability, look for the total successes over the total possible. All right, let's look at ones here that are a little bit harder. Number 2, they wanted us to find, or what's the probability of selecting 2 vowels from the word algebra? Okay, so we want to find probability of selecting 2 vowels. Let's start with our total possible. Our total possible in this case, since we're dealing with letters in a word, would be to see how many actual letters are in this word. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different letters. So we want to figure out how many ways of drawing just 2 letters out of that. Now, they're not talking about a certain order of letters. So what we're going to be doing in this is using combinations that we talked about yesterday. Because when we're looking at this, drawing A and E is the same as drawing E and A. It doesn't matter the order. So on the bottom, we want to find out how many ways are there of drawing 2 out of 7 possible letters. Now on top, we got to figure out what makes us successful. What makes us successful is drawing 2 vowels. So again, order doesn't matter. Drawing A and E is the same as drawing E and A. So we want to find the combination. Again, we're drawing 2 out of how many just vowels in this? Well, if we look at our word, we have an A, an E, and another A. So we have 3 possible vowels to choose from. So to figure this one out, we got to figure out what those combinations equal. Let's use our calculator to assist us here. So first on top, let's find the combination here of drawing 3, combination 2, and that gives us 3 possible ways of drawing our vowels out of how many different ways of just picking 2 letters out of this. So again, we're going to do combination here. So we want to, this time we're picking out of 7 possible letters, drawing 2, and we have 21 ways of picking 2 different letters. So our probability is 3 out of 21. If you look at that, we can see that that simplifies. 3 does go into 21, so our probability is 1 out of 7. Or if you change that, if you want to change that to a percentage, it's about 14.3%. So that would be the probability of drawing 2 vowels. All right, let's try another one of those. This next one says, Julie has a collection of 32 albums on her iPad, 18 R&B and 14 rap. As she is leaving for her trip, she randomly chooses 6 albums to make a new playlist. What is the probability she selects 3 R&B and 3 rap albums? All right, so what we're trying to find the probability of is 3 R&B and 3 rap. Okay, now again, in this one, order's not important. She's just making this playlist, so she just what's the different numbers of ways that she can pick these or choose these. So when she's doing this, it is going to be, again, some combinations that we're going to use. So on the bottom, let's start there. What's the possible ways she can pick her 6 albums? Well, she's choosing 6. That's what it says in the problem. She's choosing 6, but we got to figure out how many is she choosing out of. Well, it said at the beginning that she has 32 albums that she's picking up from. So on the bottom, we would write combination 32, choose 6 of those to make the playlist. On top now, we got to figure out how many possible ways can she do this. Well, the thing that's different about this one is she's choosing 2 different types, R&B and rap. So we got to find out how many ways can she choose the R&B and how many ways can she choose the rap. And remembering our fundamental counting principle says that when you have that, you multiply your choices together. So we're going to multiply here. Let's start with R&B. What's the number of ways she can choose R&B? Again, remembering order is not important. Well, it's going to be combination again. How many total R&B albums does she have? 18. That's our total. How many is she choosing? Again, they said 3. So it would be 18, choose 3. Now we got to do the same for rap. So how many rap albums does she own? She's choosing from 14 of them. And again, it says she's choosing 3. So if we can simplify this, we should be able to find out what the probability is that she selects 3 of both of these. So using calculator again, let's figure out what these equal. So we're using some combinations here. 18 combination, picking 3. So that's 816. Multiplied with, we'll do our other one here. Got 14, choosing 3. That's 364. And on bottom, we got to figure out how many ways of just picking 6 out of 32 total albums. So we get 32, choosing 6. And we got 906,192. Okay, now doing some simplification, we want to multiply on top there. If you multiply those together, you get this number, over 906,192. And that would be the answer. You could see, does it reduce? Let's see if this does reduce down here. So if we put these numbers in and check to see that it does reduce here as a fraction, that doesn't, maybe I think I actually entered it in wrong, but if you do type it in right here, it does appear that it simplifies a little bit. 192. It does simplify to the fraction, 884 out of 2096. So that would be the simplified fraction answer. As you saw too on the calculator, you could write it as a decimal or percent of about 32.8%. So that's using combinations. Anytime you're selecting out of a group, and order doesn't matter, you want to use combinations. All right, for tomorrow, why don't you try out number 4 and see if you can do this problem about how many ways would there be to choose these number of letter tiles out of this game. And we'll see how you do on that one tomorrow.